Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great day today. My hair is very staticky today. I just noticed that as I was looking at my camera right now. It is very cold here today, and so it is dry in the house. The heat is running, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced snow. And we didn't get any snow here in the Boston area, but it did get really cold this morning. So cold that when I went for my walk, my face got frozen. But anyway, today I am here to show you a new tutorial, and I know you all love 3D tutorials because they're so much fun and they make great gifts. And today's tutorial is this cute little tea light holder made with the pine tree punch. Actually, it's made with the bundle as well because I'm using the stamp on the top of the box. But basically, you take the little lid off. You grab your little tea light holder. Let me turn it on. Oh, okay. You know what? It's very hard to see because it's pretty bright in here, but it is on. And you stick it in the box. It looks really pretty at night, but it's harder to see. You can kind of see it flickering there a little bit. But it is so much fun to have this cute little box to give as a little gift. So I'm going to show you how to make that. Now, I have a special thing for my email list subscribers that I've been doing for a few weeks now, is if you subscribe to my email list, the link is down below, you will get a project sheet for this tutorial emailed to you at the end of the week. So on Saturday, I will email it out. I like to I actually use the project sheet while I am doing the tutorial for you, but sometimes I notice that something's not clear after the tutorial, and then I can go in and edit it. I also add the YouTube link, so then you have everything in a nice tidy package. You can print it out or keep it on your computer, so it's a nice little plus if you would like that. So I am going to go ahead and switch cameras and we'll get started on this tutorial. I'm going to do it from start to finish. Okay. Oh, hello everyone. Oh, and I see Michelle, and I don't know how to pronounce, I say Ver Blue, but she's so sweet. She always comments on my videos, so a special hello to her. It's her first time that she's catching me live, so that's awesome. All right, I'm going to switch my cameras now, and there's my project sheet, and it's just really easy, and at any point when you subscribe, I will have a link to get that project sheet. So if you subscribe by Saturday, you'll be able to get it directly into your email inbox. Now, the bundle I'm using is the Perfectly Plaid Bundle. And I like it when you buy the stamp set and the punch together as a bundle, you can save 10%. So that's already very cool. We're not using any dies for this box, so that's also nice. So you don't need a die cutting machine. And I'm also using the Starburst punch right at the top of this box. But it's actually not necessary for the tea light portion, but it is a nice little decorative touch up here at the top. I'm going to turn off my little tea light right now because you can't see it. But these little windows right here are made of vellum, so they do shine through, but you can't really see the exact outline of the tea light. You can just see it flickering. It looks just fabulous at night. The other thing I recommend, make sure you get the flickering tea lights, or they also have these fabulous ones that are color changing tea lights, and I love those ones because they change colors. They just look so pretty. Okay, so we need to start off by creating the little window piece. So you're going to need a scoring board, and I'm using my Simply Scored scoring board here. The piece that you're going to start with measures 10¼ inches by 3 3/8 inches. Then you're going to take your scoring tool and you're going to score at the 2½ inch mark, the 5 inch mark, the 7½ inch mark, and the 10 inch mark. Fairly easy measurements to start. Then what you want to do is take a ruler, and I'm going to, so you can visually see things better, you can take a pencil, but I'm going to take a white marker so it shows up better on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some little centering marks on this piece, so when we use the pine tree punch, we can see exactly where we want to punch it. So I'm just going to lay my ruler right kind of down at the bottom here, right along the bottom. Make sure the skinny end segment is on your right side so that your measurements are correct from this end, okay? So that skinny end segment is over here. And so we're gonna measure over. I'm gonna make a mark at the 1 1/4 inch mark. And this doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a little mark so you know where you're going. At the 3 3/4 inch mark. Then we'll make a mark at the 6 1/4 inch mark, and at the 8 3/4 inch mark. Okay, so basically just the center point of each of these segments. Then we're going to take the pine tree punch, and I like the way that I designed this. So we just need the centering mark, and we're going to stick the pine tree punch all the way in. Okay, so that way there's no guessing. Is it halfway in? Is it part way in? Make sure it's all the way in. And then you're going to use this mark and kind of make sure it's in the middle from side to side. So when that looks good, then you're just going to punch it through. And you will see that this is approximately centered from top to bottom, the way I designed it. And now it's centered from side to side because you want it to look visually pleasing. And if you're able to get it centered, it makes it just so much easier. So you'll do that for all 4 panels. Get this last one. It's all the way in, and then center that little mark. And see how nicely that turned out. Okay, the next step is we need our little vellum pieces. These are going to be our little windows, and you're going to need 4 pieces of these. They each measure 2 3/8 inches by 3 1/4 inches. And if you have any questions while we're going through this, please make sure to ask them, because that's the nice thing about the live here. Oh, and there's another first timer here too. Thank you for joining me this morning. And for all the people that have come back to join me, thank you for coming back. So what I'm going to do to make this easy on myself, I've got my 4 pieces already cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put Tombow on all of the squares or the rectangles first, and then I'm going to add the vellum. Just make sure you don't, when you do it, don't get your fingers all mixed up in the glue, but that way you don't have to keep putting the glue bottle down and doing it for each one. So it kind of saves you some time. So what I'll do is I take the Tombow and I just do a light bead, and I just frame up each of these. And I don't go all the way to the edge. I'm going, maybe about 1/4 inch in. This is going to be on the inside. So even though you're going to see the glue marks, this is the inside of the little box. So it's not meant to be seen and observed. So then I'm just going to place these down on each of my little panels. And you'll notice that each of these pieces is just a little bit smaller than the panel. So that way it's not going to interfere with the folding. You want to make sure it doesn't get on the score marks. So, and then you want to make sure it doesn't stick up above the edge. I'm just kind of smoothing it down to make sure that we've got everything adhered well. Okay. So now we can fold this along the score lines, and you're going to have the skinny end tab. I'm going to keep folding this. If you want to, let me grab this. You can also use a bone folder to help you smooth down each of these folds and make them nice and crisp. Let me do this little end tab again. Okay, I think. And this one. Okay, so now we've got this little end tab, and I'm going to run just a bead of Tombow right on that little end tab, and then we're going to bring this together to create this open-ended box. Okay, and now we're going to build a top and a bottom for our box. Okay. So let me set that piece aside, and I'm going to move the pine tree punch out of the way and move that out of the way. We're going to bring back in our scoring board, and let me just rearrange my little markers. And now we're going to have 2 pieces of the wrapped in plaid paper. Now I believe this paper is on back order right now, but you can still order it. So if you're looking to do this project, go ahead and order it now, and it will ship once it comes in. This paper is awesome. It's got this nice little gold metallic thread running through it, and it's pretty. It's got a neutral, kind of a neutral, maybe a more pictorial side, and then it's got the beautiful plaid side with the metallic running through it, and it is just the most lovely paper. It's all in Christmas colors, so you're gonna love it. Each of these squares measures 3.5 by 3.5, so cut both of them the same measurement, and then you're going to score them at the 1/2 inch mark on all 4 sides. So we'll do that for both pieces. And I'm just finishing it off. All right. Okay, so we've got both of these pieces. Now let me grab my little paper snips. They have actually are hiding out. I have everything in a certain spot, and then, you know, they just kind of wander sometimes. So I've got the 2 squares, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up on one side to create little tabs. So I'm just going to cut up to that first score intersection to create some little corner tabs that we're going to glue together. So that's one side, and I've done both of those. And then I'm going to switch to the opposite side, so 180 degrees. So the cuts that I did are up now, and now I'm going to do the same thing on this side and just cut up like that. So I've got cuts on this side and cuts on that side. Do the same for the other piece. And then I better check my project sheet to make sure that I'm doing things in the logical order. Sometimes my brain takes over and thinks, oh yeah, I know this project so well, and I don't follow along on my project sheet. See, I made a mistake already on my project sheet this morning when I was cutting up, and I was like, I caught it, and so now I've got a little note into myself that I need to make a change on that when I send that to you when I send it out to you. Okay, okay, so we need to fold these pieces now along all the score lines. They're all folded, and then let's do the same for this little guy. And if you have any questions while I'm doing this, just let me know. Okay, so we're gonna start off, we're gonna do the bottom first, and the easiest way to do this is we're going to take 2 adjacent corners, so that means they're side by side, not opposite, and we're going to start off by gluing those 2 corners. So I'll just put some Tombow on those 2 of those tabs that are next to each other. and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to glue them. Make sure when you're doing this that the score line matches up with the edge, and that way you're going to have a nicer finished look for your project. The other thing that you can do that I didn't do is, see, these tabs are going to come together, and sometimes just because of the way they cut, you're going to see a little bit sticking out. So you can take your little piece and just angle cut your tabs, and that way it will look better. Now, if you've already glued them like mine have been glued, this one needs to be held for just a little bit longer. So on this side, I'm just going to come in with my scissors and just snip it and snip it. It's harder to do it afterwards, so I kind of like to do it before. If I think about it, sometimes those little details aren't always important to people, so I just mention it if you're like a fussy person like me. So I've got my one side built, and what I want to do is I want to be able to glue this in here, and then I'm going to finish adhering all of this together. Now, when I did this the first time, I guess I had chosen 2 other tabs, so the tabs kind of wrapped around here in the front, and I actually chose a more difficult path for myself to finish gluing these together, but I'm still going to show you how I'm going to do it. So what I'll do, no Tombow at the bottom. Oh, and I forgot a little step. I did forget a little step. So I want to reinforce this little bottom right here. So what I did, because this is paper, it's a little bit not as strong as cardstock. So I'm going to reinforce the bottom with just a square of cardstock. Now I took this piece, and this measures just under 2.5 by 2.5. So it should fit in here perfectly. If you do it at 2.5 by 2.5 exactly, it's going to be a little tight. So I recommend just going slightly under, like a 1/16 of an inch under. But if I put down the actual measurement, which would be, what would that be, 2 and 7/16 by 2 and 7/16, people will go, I don't want to do this tutorial. So if I just say 2.5 inches, make it just a little bit tinier than that, then that will work. Or if you can't wrap your brain around that, make it 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this piece in because I forgot to do that. That's in my project sheet. I just forgot to look at my project sheet. Okay, so I've reinforced my little bottom, and we're not going to put any Tombow on the bottom because this just needs Tombow on the sides. So what I'll do is I'm going to put Tombow in here and here and here. And then I'm going to slide this in to the bottom, and I'm going to stick my hand down in here, and I'm going to make it stick to that side. I'm going to keep these sides, I'm not going to push them down yet, but what I'll do is I'll fold this back, and I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow on these 2 tabs here, the outside. And I'm going to put Tombow here, so it's going to adhere to here. Now, if you chose to do the tabs just slightly differently, it would have been easier, but this will still work. And now I'm just kind of bringing it around the box to adhere it. Now what I'll do is I'll stick my hand in here, and I'm going to run my fingers along the bottom of the box so it adheres to these little pieces, and now we've created this little bottom of the box, and it's got a nice, you know, from the side now you see the paper, and it looks just really pretty. The shaded spruce I took out of the paper, so it matches perfectly with the paper, so I love the color coordination for that. All right, so that is the bottom. Now make sure I read my instructions a little bit better for the top. So the top's a little easier because the top will be able to come off. So we don't want to glue it down because tea lights come and tea lights go. You can replace the batteries, but often people just buy new tea lights. So you want to be able to switch your tea lights if you want to, and you want to be able to turn your tea light off as well, right? So we're just going to create a box top that you can lift off. So this time I'm going to, oh, you know what I'll do? I'm going to angle cut my little tabs real quick. That I'm just taking like the tiniest piece off. I don't know if you can see, but it just helps when you're doing it. So now I'm going to put Tombow on my corners, living dangerously by adding the adhesive to all 4 corners instead of doing it one at a time, but it saves me a little time. So I'm just going to hold each corner for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come along to the next corner. Make sure you line them up nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm getting some comments, and let me just scroll down. Okay. Yeah, I love the way it fits really snugly. I worked with the measurements. Usually I would go up a size on the measurements, but I wanted this to fit really nice and snug, and it does. So it just seems to work out really well. So now let me just test out my little top of my box. You want it to be snug, right? Because you don't want it to, see, it's nice and snug. Snug is a bug in a rug. So that works out really well. Now this project, I designed it with the Moose Punch last week, and the Moose Punch sold out. So if you have the Moose Punch, you can actually make this tutorial with it. It would be really cute, but I'm not going to show it because it's just going to make people sad because they can't get the punch. If you are using the Moose Punch, if you have it, you want to make the similar design, you're going to need to make your box portion, this one, like about a 1/4 inch shorter, so it would be 3 1/8 instead of 3 3/8 if you want to do it with the Moose Punch. It was super cute. Oh, I still have it. You're gonna die when you see it. You're gonna love it. But I'm only gonna show it briefly. See? Isn't that cute with the Moose Punch? I made it with that fall paper. What was it called? Real quick, it was the Come Together Designer Series paper. So cute. I was really sad, and that's why I didn't have any projects for you last week, because I was like so busy and I was ready to go with them, and then I had to pull them. So I love that this is a tree, because a tree is very Christmassy, and it looks wonderful. So I'm not sad that I'm a little sad that I couldn't show that project with that particular punch, but this is just as nice. And when you do the color changing light or the flickering lights, this looks really cool, and this will appeal to a broader base of people. So I actually really like this design as well. Okay, so now the only thing left to do is to decorate. So I'm going to take a piece of gold foil sheet and my Starburst punch. I kept the top really easy. This is not really a hard project, but when you do it, if you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can add ribbon, you can add a bow, you can do other things with it. But I want to show you how this is not a hard project to decorate up, even with just a few little supplies. And I've lost, okay, I swear I had a little piece of, oh, there it is. Shaded spruce. I had all my supplies ready and cut, and then they disappear on me. So I'm going to take the tree, And this one is a stamp from that Perfectly Plaid stamp set. So it makes that nice little plaid tree. So I'm going to open up my Shaded Spruce ink pad, get my little tree nice and inky, and then I'm shaking my whole table. I want a good stamped image. And then I'll grab my pine tree punch once more and stick it in. Oh, I can barely hold it on the end. I need it to make my piece a little larger. Okay. And the nice thing about these punches, you can kind of clamp down and hold it while you move it, so it makes it easier. And then you're going to punch through. And so you've got your little shape. And then I just like to adhere these together. I'm keeping it very simple. But there's so many other things you can do. And I should mention that I love 3D tutorials, and I have other tutorials that I share with my customers for free that they can get free with a purchase that aren't publicly available. So if you don't have the supplies for this project and you want to get them, if you get them through me, there are some perks to get them through me. I'm going to just adhere this to the top. I'm going to show you my latest free with purchase tutorial in just a second. And there's a couple ways, actually there's 3 ways to get my tutorials. Okay, so I'm just adhering that to the top of the box. And then you'll just take your tea light holder, you'll turn it on, or if you're giving this as a gift, obviously you'll probably keep it off until you give it to the person, but then you just set it inside. You can kind of see it's flickering on the inside. And then you just add the top of your little box right here, and now you've got this really cute tea light holder. So there you go. So for my customers that purchase from me, if you spend at least $15 in my Stampin' Up store, the link is below. My latest tutorial is a faux book tutorial, which is kind of fun. It's like a gift box and it looks like a book. Look, I used the Lily Pad Lake stamp. There's a line stamp on the edge of this book. So it looks like pages of a book. So if you put a gift in that weighs about the same weight as a book would, it would kind of feel like a book. And I use the ribbon to keep it shut so it acts more like a gift. So I did these with 3 different suites from the holiday catalog just to show the versatility. And I didn't do a ton on the front, but the paper is so pretty that it just, works really well. So that one's free with a purchase, a $15 purchase in my Stampin' Up store. And then if you spend a little more for $75 this month, I have a host code. It is down in the description of the video. If you use that host code and spend $75 with me this month, then you will get a package of the Jingle Bells in December. And as I was pulling them out today, I was like, oh, it would have been really cool if I had used some Jingle Bells and like maybe used, I pulled it out, some linen thread and like tied it on here somehow. Because it does have a little hole. Let me loop this through so that the ends aren't coming through. So if you stick that through and maybe give it a little tie. No, I didn't plan this in advance. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cute as I was pulling it out. And then I realized that my clock had run out and that the video was supposed to be going live. And I was like, oh, well, I won't be able to test this out in advance, but I was kind of just thinking, how would I add a little jingle bell on here? So what you could do, okay, I've got a little linen thread. So you could add like just the little jingle bell onto here. And I would do that with a little mini glue dot. I'm gonna grab my, old paper piercing tool, and I'm going to turn a mini glue dot into a blob, which I just do. I grab the dot and I kind of roll it around on the end of my paper piercing tool to kind of create like a blob. And then I'll just grab that. Well, I don't know, maybe I should have grabbed it and stuck it onto the bow right here, and then stuck it to the top. Like that. Wasn't that cute? Yay! All right, see, I did add some little extra little bling on the top. So if you get my, if you spend $75 with me, you can get this these little jingle bells for free. I mailed them out in December. If you're interested in that book tutorial, it's also available for purchase on my blog. Or if you get the starter kit and join my team, you can also get all my tutorials for free. So just different ways to get it for free. But oh, I like the little jingle bell. That is so cute. Yes. All right. Okay, let me see if there's any questions. Yeah, I think, you know, you could do this with framelits as well, but I like the fact that this is a punched design. It's very quick to make it with a punch. I think this would work well, like to make for a little for a class, or like a little gift for your friends. It's just got lots of little potential. All right, well, I don't see any questions, but I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. And don't forget, if you want the project sheet for this particular tutorial, make sure you sign up for my email list, and that will be mailed out this Saturday. It just makes it easier to get the project and make it, because you have all the measurements right in front of you, plus a little picture, plus the link to the YouTube tutorial and the link back to my blog where I have more photos of the actual project. All right, guys, I have one more project for you this week. I will be doing that tomorrow, because on Friday I am off to Atlanta to On Stage, which is the Stampin' Up convention. And I will be there for the weekend, so I'm really looking forward to that. And if you are a demonstrator and you're heading there yourself and you see me, please come up and say hi. I'd love to meet you. And I also love to see my old friends. If some of you are on here that already know me, so come say hi if you see me. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and don't forget to check back tomorrow. I'll be putting up a link to the upcoming video tonight, so that if you want to get a notification to watch me on the live, you can do that. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.